everybody. This is Zach Said It Again. I'm your host, Zach Cooley, and I'm honored to be here with my longtime friend and good buddy, Mr. Curtis Wiseley. Thank you for joining me on the podcast, Curtis. It's good to
no
have
problem.
you.
Thanks for having me.
Well, you and I have been friends for a very long time, probably between 20 and 25 years, I'd say. We're old high school buddies from George Wythe High School. You were 2 years behind me.
We're dating ourselves now, Zach.
Yep. And, I'd just like to point that out because very few people put up with me for that length of time. But you have done so very graciously, and we've been very fortunate to have reconnected with one another in the last couple of months. But the reason we are talking today is because you invited me to attend at our beautifully restored Millwald Theatre in our hometown of Wytheville. You invited me to attend a Meet Loaf tribute band show. And initially, when you invited me, I thought, I'm not a Meat Loaf fan. This is not really something I'm too overly thrilled about. But it ended up being a great show, and I enjoyed it. But your company and the company of our friends, Mr. and Mrs. Billy Lewis. Billy's another high school mate of ours and lifelong friend of yours, and his brother, Jake Lewis, who does a lot of great things in the community with the Open Door Cafe, and his wife, who was very talented former actress at the Wolford House Dinner Theater, Jessica. Was wonderful company. We also had Madeline Lenore, who is the internationally renowned photographer, who is a native of Wytheville, and her lovely grandmother, Fran Horn. Now, Fran was my seatmate at the concert, and I really could have just run away with her. We had a great time talking. But anyway, I went the long way around to say thank you for inviting me to be a part of that group and a part of that evening. It was very special.
You're quite welcome. I agree it was.
So tell me about your interest in Meat Loaf and what made you want to go to that show.
Oh, well, I've listened to Meet Loaf on and off for years, starting back in high school. I would drive my old 88 Cougar around Wytheville, listening to various rock bands, and I came across Meet Loaf one day and just enjoyed the way he kind of entwined the classic rock and roll style with his theatrical antics. So that combination of rock and roll and theater was pretty interesting to me. So that's what first got me into it. I think I heard Bad of Hell first as I was driving one day, and it kind of got me into his music and exploring the lyrics and videos and such.
Yeah, and I knew Bad Out of Hell because that was one of my mother's favorite albums, and I can remember her, blasting that in the car with the Let Me Sleep on It, just playing over and over and over, and
that's Paradise by the Dashboard Light, I believe.
Yes,
the Sleep on It lyric.
Yes, and they used that as the finale of the show, which I kind of thought they would because every one of those numbers was like its own rock opera. Mm-hmm. Every one of those numbers, I knew I went in thinking, I know about 3 Meat Loaf songs, but I actually ended up knowing more than I thought I did. He opened with "I would do anything for love, but I won't do that," and I always liked the juxtaposition of his lyrics. He said, "I want you, I need you, but there ain't no way I'm ever gonna love you. But don't be sad, 'cause 2 out of 3 ain't bad." And then he has the other lyric that says, "I would do anything for love, but I won't do that." The very thing she's asking of him. So I always, kind of laughed at the contradiction of his lyrics, if you will.
Well, the first set of lyrics when he talks about Repeat your first line again there. I forgot what song it was.
Oh, with I Would Do Anything for Love, that one?
The other one you said, the 2 out of 3 ain't
Oh,
bad.
I Want You, I Need You, but There Ain't No Way I'm Ever Gonna Love You, that one?
Yeah, he's talking to his current romantic partner at that time, and he gets through the song, and he actually, in a later verse, he refers back to a time when he was told the exact same thing by someone that he wanted to love him. And she said, "I want you, I need you, but I won't love you, or I can't love you."
Right.
And so he's kind of reliving that, except he's in her position now. He's saying that to his romantic partner, so it's kind of the irony of that, the old situation versus the current situation.
Sort of
which was really cool.
A retaliation type thing,
or just general irony that kind of that happens with human emotion.
Exactly.
And with the "I Would Do Anything for Love," it's actually you have the duet there at the end.
Right.
He sings with his wife. I can't recall the lady who sung that song with him. But she pretty much says, sooner or later you're going to get tired of me and you're going to be screwing around or something. And he said, "I won't do that." So that's what he's saying to her at the very end of the song.
So it all kind of ties in.
It does. He tells stories.
Yeah. And as I said, every song was its own rock opera. And, I Would Do Anything for Love came out in 1993. It was on a sequel album to the Bat Out of Hell 2. And those two, that one and Paradise by the Dashboard Light, are the two that I was most familiar with. But I'm looking up, or actually in the process of looking up as we speak, who was his female partner for that song. I know Paradise by the Dashboard Light. I did not know till I went to write the article a couple of days ago that the one who was doing "What's It Gonna Be, Boy? Yes or No?" that was Ellen Foley. And Ellen, I remember her. She was an actress in one of my favorite sitcoms growing up called Night Court. She played the legal aid attorney who I think was kind of in love with the judge, who was played by Harry Anderson. But it's a great sitcom about the wacky people who come in and out of Manhattan District Court in the 80s. And it's really... John Larroquette is in it, and he's very funny. There's actually a revival of that show going on right now that's on NBC, and John Larroquette is the only one who is from the original cast that's in it. Melissa,
so she's a very multifaceted, talented lady then.
Yes.
An actress and a great singer.
Yes, she certainly is, and I did not know that she was that singer. But when I saw that and saw that it was Ellen Foley, I heard it in my mind, and I was thinking, "Yep, that's her." And how cool that she got to be successful in both worlds, because that doesn't really happen much. So good for her, And like I said, I thought every song was a rock opera. Every song just was its own story. And he considered himself an actor first. And I had seen him in a couple of movies. I don't remember which one of the movies I actually saw him in. But he had, very bit parts in certain ones. But certainly wouldn't consider him to be an actor first. Certainly a rock legend, but maybe not an actor. But he was an actor every time he stepped out on stage. He emoted, and so did Benny Resonance, the gentleman who is paying tribute to him. He emoted every syllable of those songs.
Sure did.
And it was quite something. I said to Fran I'm quite relieved that was his actual wife on stage. I don't know how I'd feel about him about my wife saying and doing all those things on stage with another guy, knowing that wasn't, knowing that was my wife up there.
Of being an actress, though, right?
I guess, but it was. I was greatly relieved to know that they were married. I mean, it added a bit of authenticity to it as well. But they also do a Fleetwood Mac group tribute in addition to Meet Loaf, where they spell it MEET instead of MEAT. They spell Fleetwood FLEATWOOD Mac. And then they have their own band of original songs, and it's all the same band. It's all the same members, and their original band of originals is called Resonance, after their last name, of course. But the band that backed them up was as good as they were, and and I like the fact that they let them do their own solos. Like for the drummer, they did a segment of Rush's Tom Sawyer, and for the guitar player, one of the guitar players got to do Crazy Train by Ozzy Osbourne, and the other guitar player did a Van Halen song. So I thought I appreciated the versatility of the band.
I was super impressed with that guitar solo and the keyboard solo as well. They were all so good in their own right.
Yep, and the female keyboardist was from Canada, I found out, which, very, very good. And, it was just a good show, better than I expected. And if it had not been for you, I would not have given it a shot. So, thank you for making me a part of the evening.
Sure. The one thing about Meat Loaf that really drew me in early on was these deep, very human concepts he explores. With the intensity of his love and the heartbreak situations, and the way he presents those in such a theatrical manner kind of makes it almost larger than life in a way, along with the music and the show he puts on. So he really kind of the energy is kind of contagious, I think. So it's kind of like an outpouring of energy that kind of like the entire crowd kind of feeds on that. So I saw the cover band doing the exact same thing, and they did it so well, probably nearly as well as he would do it. So I was really pleased with how they put their show together, and I felt the energy, which was what I was hoping for.
And it was really special that something of that level would come to Wytheville. I mean, as you and I know, growing up here, there was a very short time ago when Wytheville had no options for any show of that type.
I recall going to Lynchburg to watch some theater plays, just because there's nothing really in this area. So right. I was very thankful to be able to just run 10 minutes away from home to catch a show of that quality. So it was definitely a treat.
Yeah, and getting to reunite with your high school pal who he and his bride live in West Virginia. And
expecting a baby as well.
Expecting a baby, yes. Congratulations!
Trimester, I believe.
Congratulations to them. And Jake and his wife have a 1-year-old, Oscar. So congratulations to them. And he is the mini-me of his father. So a salute to both of those brothers. Fine folks. And again, was glad to be a part of the group. Can you tell me, because it was difficult for me and the ones that I didn't know to follow along with the lyrics, and man, you knew every word to every song. It was amazing to keep up with that. Meat Loaf is clearly one of your favorites.
Well, I've always had this thing where I'm like a tape recorder. If I like a song and the concepts, and I kind of listen to a time or two, I can generally pretty much recite a song word for word. that's just kind of how I've always been. I'm very focused on words and wordplay, and the theme is behind what they're saying. So it's not unusual for me to words to songs.
Yeah, and that is the same for me. That is the same for me, but not to the level that you are, because you can encapsulate these more complicated 7, 8, 10-minute songs, whereas I can maybe do the same thing if I've heard a 3 or 4 minute sort of single type track, if you will, edited for time on the radio. And by radio, I mean 80s radio. Simple songs like Phil Collins or Tina Turner, or things that were on the radio in those days are my favorite, and I could get the lyrics to those songs after hearing them a couple of times. But those 8 to 10 minute opuses, if you will, take much more processing for me, and I certainly was not educated enough in Meet Loaf's artistry to be able to do that. So I was very impressed that you knew every word to every one of those songs. Cause,
oh, shucks. Well, thank you.
Well, not any, because none of them were, simple. They were all very, very, what is the word I'm looking for, since I'm on the record?
Artistic complexity, I suppose.
Well, they were very complex. I mean, as you said, really, it's just about simple human emotions that we all experience, but he took that and made it into a big theatrical, every song was its own production, in a way. And
yes, sir, it was.
It was very, very interesting. There was one part in the night that really just really broke my heart, and that's when he performed "Heaven Can Wait," and dedicated it to the partnership of Meet Loaf, whose real name was Michael a Day, I believe, and the songwriting and his songwriting partner, Jim Steinman, and they passed away within 9 months of each other, and they also had a obviously very close but very volatile relationship, because they were always fighting over who did this or who did that. I did this, no, I did that. But as he pointed out, the two souls were so linked that they could not live in this world too long without each other, passing away within 9 months of each other. Jim Steinman on April 19th, 2021, at the age of 73 from kidney failure, and Meat Loaf at the age of 74 on January 20th, 2022. Unfortunately, at the height of the pandemic, he passed away from COVID-19. So I thought that was interesting, but it was particularly difficult for the ladies that you and I were seated with. Fran and Madeline lost their daughter and mother, respectively. Beth, who was a very talented singer, photographer, actress at Wolford House Dinner Theater, passed away suddenly a few weeks ago. And Fran talked to me some about the pain of losing a child, and she said it's pain that no one should ever have to go through, and which I agree. You know how I feel about my Bella, and if I lost her, that would be the end of me. You'd have to take me to the dump. So I admire them for trudging on and doing their best to enjoy themselves and enjoy life and spending time with each other. But to see Fran and Madeline shedding tears during that song, that was heart-wrenching. You know, I reached over and got friend's hand and let her know that I was there for a support. But in moments like that, there's nothing you can do, and you are alone with your grief, and you have to process that. I felt that very keenly.
I did as well, and all you can do is really be there and lend an ear or a shoulder if need be, during that process, and it just takes time. I've talked to them both a little bit about the process of grieving, and it's different for everyone involved, and they're getting through it the only way they really know how and can at this point. So I think that song really kind of triggered some emotions, and I was pretty aware of that as well when it was happening. So it is heart-wrenching, as you said.
But our heart and sympathies go out to our friends, and we are, hoping for complete healing for those two ladies. And but I wanted to close here to talk just a few minutes. You and I have reconnected as fellow writers. I have followed your motorbike adventure blogs for years as you go across the country doing what I dream to do, which is one day see at least one part of all 50 states in our great union. And I have lived vicariously through the adventures you have taken on your trusty motorcycle. And reached out to you and said, you should really write a book or compile this and make a book. And you said, well, as a matter of fact, I have started a novel or have started writing projects and would love to get them published. Well, that clicked for us, and that cemented what I hope will be a long-standing partnership between the two of us. And now that I have you on record, you can't get out of not completing the project.
I've always written for self-expression over the years, more short stories and poetry, but I haven't really tackled a big project like a novel in the past, and I think I'll take the time to sit down and structure my writing so I could complete a story. I have so many cool ideas in my mind that I would love to put on paper. So just a matter of finding time to write a story as a story. Love to kind of capture the themes that are important to me with fictional stories, and also maybe write some nonfiction about my travels and a little open road philosophy or something. So plenty of ideas coming. So I look forward to it.
Indeed. And I think you and I, we've been seeing quite a bit of each other, and within an hour you and I can have a conversation that could be expounded into a book of its own, whether it's talking about expressing human emotions or philosophy or whatever it is. We kind of,
or how it all ties together, right?
we kind of connect in that way, as I think writers should. But I thank you, Curtis, for giving me your time today. I enjoyed having you on the podcast, and I hope when we get that book published, you'll come back and we can talk more about your writing talents.
No, I would love to, and thanks for the good conversation and the company.